Hey YouTubers and YouTuberettes, this is ConorArmCEO here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to the Arrowverse review, where I talk about TV shows and their first episodes of their new premiere series, such as Season 7 of Arrow, Season 5 of The Flash, Season 4 of Supergirl, Season 2 of Black Lightning and Season 1 of Titans. So let's get started. Now my opinion of Season 5 and Episode 1 of The Flash, Nora, I thought it was awesome how they started out. She started off with a narration of who she was and what really happened in the previous season, and then it was led to the point where she walked in and she spoke about what really happened and the big mistake she made, the stopping the satellite crashing into the city. The Star Lab satellite, she literally destroyed it, and she lied about the negative tachyons that was stopping her from returning to her own timeline by not going through the Speed Force. She generally lied about that. And then there's this guy called Gridlock. He builds up an amount of momentum involving electricity. Like say the Flash used his super punch and it ended up building up more energy into Gridlock and then punching the Flash all the way across the city and landed in some sort of fountain pond. And then it hit him when he realized, when he says we're all going to be there for her in the future, and then it realized what was she doing here and why is she chose now and why is she getting this really excited. And then so Barry confronted her and said, where am I in the future? And then she showed the article where it said the Flash vanished and the Flash vanished in Crisis, and then another article 25 years later, Flash still missing. And I'm pretty sure it has something to do with the story that I've seen before in Batman Brave and the Bold, where Zoom and the Flash family and Batman are going up against Zoom to release Barry that was trapped into the Speed Force and nobody knew how he did it. And that's why she was there in the present, so she can figure out what happened and how she can prevent it. And of course she did lie about the negative tachyons that prevents her from traveling from the Speed Force, because she has this little device that she found in the Flash Museum archives, which of course she was well, everybody was quite shocked to hear the word Flash Museum, and I'm surprised Barry didn't mention it when he said the first time he traveled to the Speed Force he saw a glimpse of a golden monument of himself in front of a building, which of course was the Flash Museum. And the way that everybody was staring at her when she said she knew everybody. Oh, I know you, Cisco. I know you, Ralph. I know you, Caitlin. I know you, Papa Joe. And the newest member of the family, a beautiful baby girl whose name has slipped my mind right now, called her Auntie, and then Uncle Wally. And I'm trying to figure out if it was in the comics where it was either Barry or Iris that called their first child Nora after Barry's mother. And I'm pretty sure that Nora wasn't the only sibling that was in the West Allen family, because I could have sworn that in the comics, or maybe this was some sort of later into the future or whatever, that they had twins, Kid Flash and Impulse, Kid Flash or Impulse. And then she was saying things that she shouldn't be saying, and then Cisco was being not quite helpful, just being drunk because Miss Cecile, Miss Gypsy, and I thought he was going to have that dilemma before the season ended, but then he thought, oh, and this welcome new member of the family, maybe I should do that, yeah, which was stupid. And then she said to herself, Nora said to herself that she never phased before, and obviously what happened on that plane was a perfect time to do that. And every time without fail, especially the season finale, his brand new suit was destroyed, as he saw in the future, and then his season 1 suit was destroyed, and then his original season 2 suit was destroyed, and then that's when Nora introduced her, and this is where Nora introduced Barry to the Flash ring where he has his new suit. And to be honest, towards that suit, the entire bodysuit is awesome, but I'm not too thrilled about the mask. It's kind of like they slipped in a helmet, just a slip it in and they just go. And the thing was, he did felt naked without the chin guard because of all of his flash suits, he had a chin guard. And then they stopped Gridlock, they got the dampener cuffs on him, they used their phasing abilities to phase through the plane, phase through the buildings, and then land safely onto the river. And then he was sent straight to Iron Heights prison with the dampener facility where they have in Iron Heights, and which of course they don't. Hopefully they won't have a metahuman arms dealer that's trafficking metahumans to the highest bidder. Hopefully, well, of course the last guy, he's dead. And then this new guy came along, and he just generally walked up to Gridlock and say, "All of you to die." And his name is slipped my mind right now because it's going to take me a while to get used to the name, but I know in episode 2, which I'll do a review shortly after I talk about these, he sounds like a bug because of the breathing apparatus he has on, and he has this dagger that was forged like a lightning bolt and used as a dagger, which of course we'll be talking about in the next review. The way that started, where you saw William running towards these bushes, and I'm like, oh, so we're seeing a reenactment of that instead of Oliver running through the bushes and then running through this suburb neighborhood where everybody just knows him as Oliver Queen. They're stuck back in the NU by the looks of it, and Ricardo Diaz is after him, and Felicity, he's in jail, and Felicity gets gunned down, but obviously it's a nightmare that's repeating in Oliver's head of what will happen if he's still going to be staying there. And then obviously the 3 main bad guys, such as Cody Rhodes and Vinnie Jones, were there, and everybody in that prison was targeting Oliver Queen when he announced he was the Green Arrow. And yes, he was growing back the beard, because we were told that he was growing the beard for the Green Arrow look, because we all know that Green Arrow had a beard. And there were things going that he's getting a new suit that doesn't have a hood on this time because everybody knows who he is. I don't know if it's 100% accurate yet. And then he just does his usual routine. He works out in his cell. He scratches down numbers of how long he's been there, 5 months, and he gets 2 visits, one from John and one from Felicity. And then there was this young kid who was a fanatic of his, and then I kept saying, dude, stay away from him. And then everybody in prison were picking on him because he was talking to him. And then a big fight happened, and I think he was called the Bronze Tiger. I think I got his name right, but probably not. He was going to attack him, especially along with Cody and Vinny, but he managed to get the Bronze Tiger to be sent into the hole. And then Vinny was in his cell looking at his picture and saying, since you got one of our men thrown into the hole, you're going to take his place. But then he refused, and then that caused for the kid to get the hell beaten out of his life. And then he was attacked in the shower saying, your wife's dead, because Ricardo Diaz located them, found them, and luckily, thank goodness Argus was there, and Felicity, she did put up a fight. And it was a shock hearing that Diana is the chief of police, and fake Laurel is a new district attorney. And then Renee is teaching self-defense, and Curtis is the head tech of Argus, and John is no longer Spartan. He's his official agent of Argus, which is cool. And then when Felicity finally showed up in the visiting room, she was fine, and she said, "I refuse to go on protective custody. I'm stepping up to this fight." And then just from out of nowhere, instead of Oliver stepping back and letting the problem pass him by, he just held his Monte Cristo book, walked towards Vinnie Jones, jabbed him in the jugular by the spine of the book, and then whacked him across. And then he dropped the book, and then the guy who was bothering him saying, "Good morning," I forgot his serial number already, and he says, "Beautiful day." And I'm like, in other words, beautiful day to watch you in misery. And he says, "Don't do it, don't be a hero." And then he grabs this very heavy dumbbell, whacks it across the guy that said that your wife is dead, and then he just repeatedly thumped him and thumped him and thumped him and said, "You should have killed me." And now they're just thinking, okay, if we made a big mistake of picking on Oliver, since we know what he can do and he's killed before, so I think we should step back. And if I was in that prison and I saw Oliver there, I'll be doing exact that. I'll be staying the hell away from him unless I want to hear my voice coming out of my vocal cords, or if I want to walk, or if I want to walk about instead of lying around in a hospital bed covered in casts and dying in agony. So, I'm staying clear away from that guy. And then now there's this new vigilante that's running around the place, doing good things, yes, taking down bad guys, and doing what Oliver did in season 1. Stole the man's business money and sent them to orphanages, churches, people who needed to pay their pensions, to pay their bills. This guy is doing the exact same thing. He even helped Renee get new equipment for his self-defense class, new boxing bags, new boxing gloves, and Diana saw Renee backing him up as the original Wild Dog instead of the armoured one. Instead of he was Wild Dog Mark 1 instead of Wild Dog Mark 2. And he says, and Diana says to him, if I see you do that again, I won't hesitate to arrest you. And he was shocked. And then there was these flashes that I'd never seen before. Originally I thought they were flashbacks, say like, they're going to check out the NU after what happened, but it did not look damaged. It did not look destroyed at all. But we're not 100% certain what that flash was. And then he got caught by a trap, those ones that caught you by the leg and hang you upside down, but he was going to cut himself down, but that his knife was hit from his hand, and then a hooded person walked up and clocked him across the fist. And then when he came to and said, who are you and who you're looking for, and he says, I'm looking for someone, when he represent the Hosen. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing with the Hosen? And then I saw his face, Roy Harper's face. He was in the NU, and that was older William. And then when it came to the point when the copycat was in the armory, he was wearing Oliver's uniform and he was doing the list. And then I was thinking, could this be William from the future showing up, helping out or something? But I guess we're going to have to figure that out.
He was black. He said, this is for the street. Black Lightning's back.
Now, how it started, where there was people going green light babies or something. There was these things that were going on, people that were using green light, and then police were like attacking these kids, like viciously putting one in a headlock and then gunned one down. And the school board were at Jefferson's throat, telling him that this school is going to remain closed after what happened with the 100 incident, and painkiller and cyanide were there, causing a panic and then causing people to be poisoned by poison darts, which of course painkiller was using. And obviously cyanide is officially killed off, which was a shame. And the vice principal, well, I would say ex-vice principal Kara was responsible for the whole thing, and she got messed up with the wrong people, even went toe-to-toe with cyanide, and she was the one that killed her by throwing dagger heels right through her neck. And then Jefferson's best friend finally put it all together and saying, I know it's you. And then he had to take off his mask and show him. He didn't say he was going to expose him, he just walked off, because it comes to a close friend find about the secret identities. Pete Ross from Smallville finds out about Clark. Tommy Merlin finds out about Oliver being the Hood. Iris finding out about Barry. And now the Jefferson's friend, the ex-inspector, but now chief of police. I don't know how he's going to run by it. Is he going to be as handy? Is he going to help him out if he really needs to, or are they just going to step aside and work on things? And then the ASA was down his wife's throat about what are you doing with those green light victims and the containers. And so she's doing whatever she can, and then basically telling her that you're not being part of it until she spoke to Gabby to see if she can get in and work with them permanently. And then both Jefferson and herself were arguing and then talking about consequences, and then they were saying, oh no, about consequences. And then the church wanted to raise a large sum of money to help those green light babies and help them out with their families, until one night Nissa abandoned her uniform and dressed up as a Black Hooded Robin Hood, gave the money to that chapel, and especially the guy that we know that was nearly dead, but that he only got shot, and the only thing he got away with was walking with a cane. You know, the big high-powered preacher that was in the chapel that builds everybody hope, and then basically called Black Lightning the Black Jesus. And especially when Cleo got gunned down, he got the worst part, and he basically got away with it. I'm not saying that there's finger pointing or anything. And then Jennifer, her powers are starting to get different. She glows and levitates in the air. And the way that I'm seeing it, I think her body is telling her that her powers know that Jefferson's powers are slowly weakening down. Because when was it in that episode that we saw him using his powers? So he basically walked into the bathroom, saw her into this force field bubble in the bathtub, and I'm like, is she creating a force field or something? And then she just basically helps her out of the bathtub, and then gets a clean hold of her, like in the season finale where Jennifer gave Black Lightning a hug because she thought he was going to die, but basically what she did was charge him up. So, like they said before, she's like a battery or a charger or something. So basically, I think her powers are telling her that Black Lightning's powers are slowly draining down, and you need to charge them up. And then Tobias was sitting in the dark, and then Kara showed up with night vision goggles, and then there he goes with his harpoon, and basically dragging her around, but she got out of it scot-free, but injured, and jumped out of the window, and boy, he was pissed. And the guy that he was part of the school board and talking to Jefferson about you need to do some changes about the school, and I didn't recognize him right away until he did one facial expression. In the 1990s, there was this Washington movie about a black community being bullied by these people called the Golden Wars, until one day this man was hit by a meteorite and able to do things that nobody expect. Basically a minor version of Superman, only a bit different. Not like read people's minds, but this particular character was able to read a knowledge that was able to read it, but without touching it. Well, basically touching it, basically scanning it into his body, and then under 30 seconds he was able to say anything that was on the book. And it was also Meteor Man. That was the movie I grew up watching, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, holy crap, it's Meteor Man, which was amazing, which was cool. And I hope things turn out well in the second episode, which I will be watching eventually, but I probably won't have the time tonight. She's basically flying around, stopping a meteorite from crashing, saved the little girl's balloon, and she was happy, and the little girl was happy. Stopped a thief from stealing a painting, and I think she was in Rome or something. I didn't quite catch the language. And then she was in somewhere in Russia, where she stopped a train from crashing, which of course I thought that she was gonna do. We were gonna see a reenactment of Superman 1, where Superman used himself as a rail to help the train cross, but she just used her ice breath. And then she walked off with a Russian vodka, and then landed back into National City, where Mrs. President, the original Wonder Woman, is talking about a gathering, and then hands Jimmy the bottle, and then basically saying, you are full of surprises. And then she was like, oh, I'm super, and there's nothing that's gonna stop this day from being great, which of course you can't say stuff like that, it's the ultimate jinx. And then two anti-alien basically alien haters, basically called them roaches, basically attacked and abused this one guy who had tusks that grew out of his arm, and refused to hide them, otherwise the people that want him to hide will prove a point, and he wants to prove his point by being himself and working on a very high graded facility, which he was working in these basically high-tech laboratories, and he uses his tusks as biometrics. And then these two guys that were being commanded by the man that we saw in the trailer, the Agent of Liberty, basically telling these guys, get me an EMP. So they attacked this guy, and it was Mercy and Otis. And if you remember those particular names, Mercy from Smallville and the Superman animated series, and Otis from the first two Superman movies, you know, where Lex finds out that he went behind his back and wrote down Otisburg in one place, and then that the soul coordinates the wrong way until he ended up with a black guy. Yeah, and they were basically attacking everybody in sight, including my favorite alien bar where you get to communicate with all the cool aliens, and they were basically doing their AAs in there, you know, and their AA meetings where they're talking about how they're getting on with their lives with there being an alien in another planet. And one of them's doing great, and one of them's saying you don't need a device to prove that you can get this job. They can say whatever they want to say about you, but you need to get this job for yourself, not because they say you need to be human. And then what happened in that cabin was a complete front to launch the EMP into the air, and then basically Brainiac 5 Brainy basically did a re-engineered a reversed EMP to turn the place back on, but apart from the cabin. And then planning to kill Otis was a front, and a plan an assassination on Miss President was a front, just to expose her that she was an alien. Now everybody knows that the president is an alien, and that probably caused her to be impeached. And then there was going to be an indictment with Jimmy about being Guardian, and then Linda went behind Jimmy's back and tried to get some intel to drop the indictment. And obviously there was a loophole about it. If he does show up as his act as Guardian, he will be arrested on sight. And then just near the end of the episode, we see the Red Daughter training and watching the Agent of Liberty murdering a woman that wants to have people her own kind, aliens from another planet, actually feel welcome, that they should do what they see themselves doing and not because what they're told to do. She died, and I think she went there to stop this, but it ended up getting her killed. And then you see the Red Daughter bit the crap out of a wall where the train was being stopped that day at that start of the episode, and her outfit looks really, really interesting. And I wonder if she's going to have an accent, since she was mostly raised by Russian soldiers, and we all know that she's the Russian Supergirl, the Red Daughter, with world-killing attitude in her. Not only because of the Russian discipline, because she was also created by that rock, and also shared the DNA between the World Killer and Supergirl, which caused the space-time continuum when she went back in time, which technically pulled a Barry. Yeah, Super Point. There you go, there's Super Point for you. And basically her own Savitar. Now, the way that started out was really interesting, where how we get to see Raven of who she is instead of the dark and not emotional, complete emo that just likes to sit in her corner and read a book by using levitation skills instead of using her hands. She has these random nightmares, mostly about Dick Grayson and what happened to her, what happened to him with the Flying Graysons, where they fall to their deaths and he was the last one to see it happen, and she wakes up screaming, and her mother walks in and says, you need to work on your breathing, you need to control these dreams. And then everywhere she crosses, everywhere, including in her door, when her mother said, please lock the door, because she knows that there's something evil inside of her, and they're trying to use, in her and the mother's opinion, the power of God to protect her. Because I mean, there's crosses and holy cards everywhere, and the poor woman takes pills and drinks wine while she's in bed, and I think that's not a harmless thing. And I think she's also a nurse in a hospital. And then she gets crap in school, like in the bus. This bully was trying to make a move on her, like a sexual movement, and then this jock wanted to come up and stick for her, and that caused him to get punched in the face. And then she wanted to thank him, but basically ignored her. Then walked in, found this weird guy, this weird bald guy with a gun behind her mother's head, and then bang, lies down dead. And then her demon self just awoken and basically nearly shattered the place apart. Then ran straight to Detroit. And I'm wondering, why are they doing this in Detroit? Why not Bloodhaven? And then you see Dick Grayson in the car in the middle of the rain waiting for this guy, because in this file he's a very abusive man to his daughter, and the case was obviously dismissed, which obviously money in pockets, ching ching, if you catch my meaning, if you see things in movies like that. And then out in the middle of the road, Starfire. with bullet holes, broken glass, faces in the airbags, and she has no idea what happened. So I think she might be suffering some memory loss. And she ends up in this hotel and finds this tied up guy for information, and then a fight happened, and then long story short, snap in the neck, and then she shows up in this nightclub, and apparently this owner saying she brought her in, she shared the same bed with him, and he was in love with her, and then basically she said, yeah, I'm not in love with you too, and then bang, went into flames, everywhere in the room went completely in flames, and then there was a picture of Raven, and looks like they were after her too, or looking for her, for the person that's been looking for her in the first place. And by the looks of it, they just want her to make sure that she doesn't bring out Trigon, which of course we're probably going to find out before the end of the season. And then middle of the night, the abusive father, who was also a drug smuggler, who was smuggling drugs through stuffed toys, he shows up and saying, I just want that man. And then they all just ignored him and say, where's Batman? And then they were thinking, oh, this is going to be an open game in the park. He's on his own. And unbelievable what I just saw. Throwing the ninja star batarangs and hitting him with a stick and hitting him with bare hands, that's a different story. But I saw him grab a gun while the guy was still holding it, shooting them, breaking the cocking chamber off the gun, ramming it in the guy's neck, jamming the knife, removing the cocking chamber and hitting it through his neck, and then grabbing a knife, ramming it through his leg and slide it down, and then graze a guy's fist right across the wall. And then he got the guy by breaking his car window, dragged him out and pinned his face where the broken glass was, and says, you hit your daughter again, I will find you. And then drags him out of the car and bits the living crap out of him. And I'm like thinking, okay, this is not the Dick Grayson I know, this is completely dark. And then the ball guy was there again, but thanks to the help of corrupt cop, kidnapped her and basically said, I'm going to make sure that you are not going to let the darkness out. You are the key to letting this darkness out. I will be the savior. You may see me as a villain, but I will be the savior. And before Dick Grayson even got the chance to rescue her, Raven emerged and basically forced her spirit inside him, and basically probably destroyed every organ in his body, and then puked it back out, and then basically has no idea what's going to happen. And so they drove out of the city so they can go somewhere safe. And then that's when we saw Beast Boy stealing video games as a tiger. Now, I don't know what the deal was about that. Right, so my opinion to all those episodes, 10 out of 10 with The Flash, 10 out of 10 with Arrow, 10 out of 10 with Supergirl, 10 out of 10 with Black Lightning, and definitely 10 out of 10 with Titans. And I can't wait to see the episode 2, and I can't wait to react and review the episode 2s of the season. I've already reacted to The Flash, as I said in the first start of the review, and I'll get started. They won't be together this time. This is only a one-time thing. That just depends if I have enough time to do the reviews in each individual video, or I'll be doing the Arrowverse special again, or I could just do it as an Arrowverse 4 talk episode review again. So guys, until then, stay tuned for my Halloween 2018 movie review, which I watched last night, and I'll be happy to talk about it. So until then, YouTubers and YouTuberettes, I'm ConorArmCEO. Thank you, and over and out.